Grace Grove, welcome to the podcast. How are you feeling this morning?
Feeling good. Feeling nervous, but excited.
Nervous? You've done a few podcasts before? You've done podcasts before,
Just
though?
one.
Really?
Yeah.
Just this morning?
This morning. First
wow.
one. Yeah.
How'd you go? How are you feeling?
In the deep end today. Feeling good. Feeling excited. I feel like you're going to inspire some really good combos. So I'm like, pressure's on.
Let's go. No, there's absolutely no pressure at all. I feel like I was telling you this morning, my favourite thing probably in the whole world at the minute is going out and doing something with our guests, like whether it's a run, little coffee, little swim, surf, and then like rolling into a podcast, settling in, potentially having a little coffee and just like settling and having a beautiful conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We've done nearly all of the above.
I feel like we almost had a podcast conversation this morning as we were running.
I was thinking that. I was like, wow, we're really using all the good content already.
Yeah, well, even
covered
like,
all the bases.
I thought it was awesome. I think like running is such a beautiful way to connect with people. I did a trail run in your neck of the woods last weekend with Jackie Bell, and like for 2.5 hours, just like full riffing going back and forth. Even like we had a lady sitting behind us for maybe like 5 or 10 Ks, and me and Jackie, we were like almost like we were over 2 hours into our run. And you know, when you're like in a run with someone, like typically you might get a little bit deeper. You just like get to know each other really good. Yeah, a little deep conversation. And then we were obviously going through some like gnarly conversations, and the lady behind us was like, "I've just had the best time talking to like listening to your conversation." I was like, "Oh fuck, how much have you heard?" Because we're talking about like Em being pregnant, and Jackie's like, "Oh, like so, like you obviously weren't using condoms, you weren't using any of that." And it was just
a random person listening into
so
everything.
rogue. She's like, "You've actually made my race go quite nice."
I was going to say that would be
quickly.
quite fun, and you don't get tired because she wasn't talking either. She was just listening in.
She was just like listening and like getting out of it. It was really nice.
Yeah, no, I always say that about running too, because there's never anything between. Like there's no screens, don't get distracted. Like you're both just locked in to whatever convo you're having.
I see you and the girlies do like a lot of runs, which is beautiful.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah.
It's so good. I feel like I've not trained with other people before till moving here, and now I don't think I could ever go back.
You went running in Tassie?
I was running alone.
Sad. Imagine running in Tassie in the middle of winter by yourself.
Yep, rugged up, alone, in the dark, all the time.
What inspired you to start running with people?
I think it happened very naturally. Like I use it as a way to sort of meet people. Get a lot of messages from people like saying, if you want to go for a run ever. And then I noticed that those runs went really quickly or felt really more fun, and you kind of connect with people so much more. And then now I just don't run alone ever.
Really?
Yeah. Like I wouldn't, unless I've got my long marathon, like long runs. But other than that, every single day it's like, who's up for a run tomorrow? And there's always someone.
Really?
So yeah, I've got one training buddy that I do nearly all my runs with now.
Do you try and run with like new people as well, or you kind of got like your OGs that you'll run with?
I've got like my one who is like just as crazy as I am in terms of like discipline. Like we won't skip any runs, and also it makes it so much easier. If someone's waiting up for you to like go for a run in the morning, you're not snoozing your alarm, so that makes it good. But we often like bring in new people here and there as well to just like tee up a new run, and then see whether they like come along for sessions or like easy runs, but it's just fun. Makes it different.
I feel like there would be so many people, boys and girls, I was going to say the girlies, but probably boys and girls who are like wanting to start their running journey, but probably don't know where to start, or probably just like looking for a little bit of motivation. But like you said, if you've got someone that you have to rely on to go for a run with, you're way more likely to dive into it, right?
Yeah. And it's so much easier to show up for someone else than it is to show up for yourself. And so if you're going to like let someone down, then you'll always go. Whereas if you're running alone, it's so easy to just be like, oh, snooze, do it later. But when someone's all there waiting for you, you're like, I'm up, I'm ready. No matter how I'm feeling, like I'll be there on time, fueled up, ready to go.
Fueled up and ready to go. Well, to be honest, I think throughout this conversation, I am keen to touch on running. I feel like we've both got London Marathon coming up, which is very exciting. I feel like the running journey will be a big part of it. I'm really keen to hear about your story. I feel like there's like balancing being a doctor and then training and socials is probably going to be a big part of the conversation. But before we get into it, at the start of the year when we first met, we did a little ins and outs at the start of 2026. Do you remember what you said?
Ins, taking easy runs easy.
Yep.
Outs, toxic productivity.
Oh, you're so good. You said sometimes if you said toxic productivity. Sometimes if you say yes to everything, you burn out and you do everything half-heartedly. I want to do less and do it really well. 3 months into the year, how do you think you're traveling with both those things?
Honestly, easy runs easy, I am great at. Yeah, especially running with other people. I think that makes it easier too.
We did it well
you have
this morning.
To chat. And once you're chatting, suddenly you're slowing down because you get puffed if you're going too fast. Toxic productivity, I have stuck to that so well this year. I think it's my core 2026 thing. I'm trying to do less, but with more intention. And I think training wise, I've said no to Hyroxes and I'm just locked into running and I'm not training for more than one race at a time. So I'm crushing that. And then I feel in every aspect of my life as well, I'm trying to carry that same thing, just doing less, but having either doing it more intentionally or having more meaning behind the things that I do. Why
was that such a topic in your thought process leading into the year?
Because of how I did 2025.
Tell me about that.
I think it was a good experience. I said yes to everything last year. I was training, I was overseas for Hyrox World Champs. I was training for a marathon at the same time. I traveled Europe doing marathon training. I was running 24Ks of in Greece alone, trying to get ready for Sydney. I was working full time. It was my first year working as well, which is obviously a hard adaptation to make. And I just didn't say no to anything, and I was so burnt out by the end of it.
Yeah.
And I also feel I didn't give 100% to any of those things. My marathon, I wasn't I was obviously so proud of myself, but I knew that I could have done better had I not been training for so many things at once. And then same with Hyrox, I was trying to train for running, and then work was just kind of dreaded going to work because I was so exhausted. So I didn't want to repeat that. It was fun and I feel I did a lot and it was cool, lots of experience, but I just want to be more intentional this year.
I imagine it'd be quite hard, especially in the position that you're in with having all this incredible growth, not only in your career, but on socials as well, that you have all these opportunities come in. Is it hard to say no to these opportunities now?
I find that sometimes it's not really a choice to say no with work, which does help, I think, a little bit with the balance because it's not a very flexible job. So we can only have so much time off, and if it doesn't fit with their requirements, then they just say no. So that, in terms of opportunities where I can go on trips and things, is very limited. So that makes me say no. But I think as well this year, I've really focused on relationships a lot more with the brands I work with. And if I feel I'm not being treated as a person within that brand, I just don't want to buy it anymore.
Wow.
So I've really limited my brands that I work with. I'm down to 4 now, and I love them all.
Who are you working with?
LSKD, obviously.
We love them.
We love a lot. Shout out.
Yeah.
The runner-up.
Yes,
which again, I feel my relationship with them, I'm hoping London will be even cooler once I actually get to see them all face to face.
I think that'll be really cool. Spend some time with them over in London.
But even just having calls with them, they touch base so much with how my posts are going and stuff like that. They're just very involved, which I love. And then Maple Movement, who are quite a new brand. I'm not sure. Do you know the gel brand?
Yeah, they're fully clean, fully natural.
Just straight maple syrup.
They're from Cairns. Yeah, I was actually voice noting them the other day. That's so awesome.
Yeah, so again, that is a decision purely based off wanting to, they're not in a position to be paying their people to make, have any of that sort of thing. It's just from a position of they're great people, I want to support them, love working with them. They support me as much as they can, and as they grow, that relationship will grow too. But, and then working with Naked Harvest.
Cool.
As well.
All very clean products.
Yeah.
Do that intentionally?
Yeah. I think starting in social media for most people, I think, have a similar experience, but obviously can't speak for everyone. It's really exciting when you get opportunities and you want to say yes to things. And I think the longer you're in it, the more you realise that you want to be more selective with that stuff. And it all everything you say yes to and everything you put out there is kind of building an image. And I want those things to be really positive and to align with me, which is easier now when you have more opportunities. It's obviously a lot harder for people starting up. You want to just get your foot in the door a little bit. But luckily I'm in the position now that I can be super selective with that. And regardless of, what it might look like from my end or their end, if it doesn't align with me, I can just pass on it and stick to the things that I love. Because
I imagine there's probably a lot of athletes, except part-time athletes or athletes your average day corporate athlete that, it's really exciting to get a couple free gels and whatnot. And then even getting to the next point, I've seen a lot of people probably in our circles that are making that transition from full-time work as becoming almost full-time paid sponsored athlete and having these endorsements and brands coming to you. But getting to the point where you're being really selective on that, I think is really cool. So when you're looking at a brand, using any of those examples, what are you looking for? Is it we mentioned, we were talking about this morning on our run, the relationship piece? Yeah. Is that big? What are some other things that are...
I think the relationship one is the biggest for me now. I think having worked with lots of different brands, you can really tell when the brand cares about the outcome, whether that's like a number of sales or a number of views, and when a brand cares about working with you as a person. And it shines through pretty obviously, even from the way that they kind of approach that. And like, I love jumping on a call with the brand before I do anything and just like chatting to the people behind it, seeing what they're about, seeing what they're like. And I think it goes both ways because then they learn about me too. The other things, I guess, are just, I mean, I guess it all does really come down to that, because then I think if brands are like asking for a lot and not like giving equal amount of energy back, whether that is like in, obviously like this, it is a job, whether that's in monetary or just in like the time and effort that they're willing to put into like, you know, getting feedback on things, wanting to create like a certain message. If it doesn't align with you, being like, no, this is exactly how we want it to be done. I'm like, okay, well then you don't really want to work with me. You want someone to pump out a piece of content that's exactly what you're looking for. So I like being able to add my personality to things. I like being able to go back and forth with people and like make it me. Which is, I guess it's all in that relationship section.
But even like they say, for example, the collaboration that you did with LSKD with your new kit, which beautiful, by the way. I'm really excited for the new launch.
Your colours?
Well, I want the unisex tee that's going to come out. I was like to you this morning, I was like, can we get any male stuff in there? It's like I mean, I'm fairly whimsical. Like I like a bit of colour. We're both
I can see you in a yellow and pink mini short.
We're both wearing black right now, so we're probably not doing it justice if people are listening and not watching. But you mentioned the collaboration between actually designing these sets has been such like a positive experience where you can go back and forth and you can give honest feedback, and the crew, I guess, is so willing to take that feedback on. Yeah. And I think they as well, there's so much about community, and like that's how you build community. And I think one of the reasons that collection did so well as well is because everyone knew that it was me behind it. And you could see that it fit with me. I loved it. I promoted it, and so much because I was wearing it every day because it was exactly what I would have wanted to create. And like you could have just as easily put my name behind any product that they wanted to release, but instead they let me be a part of that whole process and design something that was so me that it shone through, like obviously. And it's crazy because it sells out so quick. It just like I was talking to the crew and they were telling me how fast. I was like, I don't understand. I was like, well,
neither.
What is it about it? And then I was just like, is it the community's product? Like, what do you think? Like, why is it just like you got dads like online while the girls are at school? Like, what is it about it?
I think it's a combination of all of the above. I think my community is amazing. Like they just are so supportive of the things that I do. And I think that does come down to them knowing as well that I truly love the things that I put out there. But the product itself was amazing. And like obviously it did appeal to the girly pops. Like it was pink, it was cute. But it's also functional, so it kind of fits that bill. Like if you just if you're more in the lifestyle sort of things, you just want to look cute, fit that. If you're into running and like did my races in it, like it's functional as well. So it kind of appealed to everybody. But yeah, the stories that we had coming in of like people who'd like driven actually, I'll tell you my favourite one. We got, I don't know if we probably wouldn't have seen it, but my algorithm obviously became all about the collection. Someone had Airtasker had airtasked someone to go in store because they lived in a store, like place where they had no LSKD store, to go into the Gold Coast store, buy them the product and ship it to them because they were like that's so hell bent on getting the collection, and like people's parents were driving hours to Gold Coast to line up in the morning while they were at school. Like it was crazy. Honestly, I don't really know how that happened, but it did. Did
you ever think that this would be your reality?
Absolutely not.
No?
Absolutely not. I think I grew up being told I wasn't a very creative person because I wasn't into drawing, painting, like music, that sort of traditional stuff. But I love making movies and videos. And we were like those kids that would like make whole productions, like shoot different, like we'd write scripts and shoot different stuff. And I was always into that sort of thing, but I never would see it translating to then like going into social media content and then like creating products with brands for activewear. Like that's a massive leap. So
what kind of skits would you do? I was like, can we get our hands on some of these home videos?
Maybe we can release one. I'm trying to think some of the ones. We were just like, hunting down treasure, and we had like, it was like a whole story about these two groups of people. It was like me and my friend and my brother and his friend, and we were like racing to the treasure, and it was like a week-long thing.
That's so awesome. On the little VCRs or whatever they called, handheld.
I don't even know what we filmed. Yeah, it would have been like back because we were like primary school age, like shooting it all around our like property at home, like different scenes and stuff. Crazy.
And how was it? What was it like growing up in Tasmania? Like, tell me a little bit. Like, Tell me a little bit about that and how that's, I guess, influenced your whole philosophy into becoming a doctor and getting to social media and even running. Like, what was that like?
Growing up in Tassie was amazing. Yeah. Honestly, couldn't fault it. We were super outdoorsy kids. So we grew up in like a really small rural town. There's about 800 people there. Tiny primary school. We had like shared classes with like 3-4 grades all in one classroom because there just wasn't enough kids.
That's so wild.
And yeah, we live on like a little bit of acreage and had like horses and stuff. So we were like horse riding, swimming, surfing, running, like doing all the stuff. As a kid, I was mentioning this morning, we used to like run to school every day. So we were running from a very young age, but not like competitively or with any sort of pressure on it.
Mum and dad dropping your backpacks
Yeah,
off.
dropping the backpacks off at school. They'd be waiting for us in the car park.
When you told me that, I was just like, that's so wild. Like, that's such a beautiful way to grow up. Like, imagine mum and dad just like, we'll drop your bags at school. We'll see you there.
Literally, so crazy. And my parents are doctors, so I think that did influence, especially at a young age, thinking that it would be a career I'd be interested in. But then I think as I grew up and learned who I was as a person and things that I liked, then it kind of just like fitted in as well with who I was. But yeah, I think of just that like outdoorsiness and loving being busy and active has obviously translated now into who I am and the things I enjoy.
I'm so curious. It's such a unique crossover, right? Like being a doctor, but then also having this incredible social media presence, which you probably just go full time into socials if you wanted to, but then also running as well. Was being a doctor always part of the plan? Like, were you a big planner growing up? Like, was that at the forefront, or was it kind of something like got to high school, like, okay, this is what I want to be doing?
I think I don't think I was certain that I wanted to do medicine, but I was the kid who was always like, I need to do the absolute best at school so that my options are open when I get to the end. I think it was probably like year 9 or 10 that I decided that medicine was where I wanted to go. And then I just was already kind of doing the things to set me up for that, but then obviously picking the right subjects and that sort of thing. But yeah, it's definitely been a common thing. And I think it's why as well, it's been so easy for me to stay in that path with all these other opportunities coming up. Like you said, it would be pretty easy to call it quits on that when it is so hard, time-consuming, stressful job to go full-time into social media. But I think I've known for so long I want to do it, and I love it so much that I don't want to.
Are there any days where you think, pretty tough day, it might be really nice just doing socials full-time?
100%, regularly. I think because the option's there, it naturally comes up a lot. It's not an easy job, and some days are bad in a lot of ways. Like, it can be really sad, hard job, especially been working in paediatrics. So bad outcomes in paediatrics are traumatic. And so it's pretty easy to just go, I don't need to be here. It's kind of a choice to be here. But then I think that also makes it so much more meaningful. Like I think a lot of people end up in the medicine realm because they're reasonably intelligent and they know it's like a good income. Whereas now I know that I'm there because I love it and I want to be there, which I think makes it even more like special as well. When
you were in year 9 or 10 and then you were going through, I imagine the studying would be quite intensive. And I'm sort of bringing the correlations between the two because I'm looking at your life now with work and running and socials and just life. I imagine that's quite busy. How did you go when you were that young in year 9, year 10 girl trying to find out who you are as a person and try and fit in with the social circles, but then also I imagine doing the studying that you had to do as well. How did you navigate that time or even balance it all?
I was in boarding school from the age of 11 and we had pretty strict routines. So we had like prep time, which was you have to sit down for a certain amount of hours and you have to study, like your phones are taken off you.
Outside of school hours?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I like to think I would have done it anyway. Like I'm a very routine orientated person, but I think they kind of gave us structure in that sense. And then I lived close enough that I could go home on the weekends. So that kind of nice balance. I was always someone who did as much as possible during the week so that by the time the weekend rolled around, like I wasn't doing assignments, studying, that sort of thing. So I still had a lot of that free time. But I did also break my ankle in the start of year 11. And so that was like a really good time to like just lock in.
Sure.
And I think I then got those really good habits of like how to study for such long periods of time because I couldn't be out running or like doing much else. So I think that helped a little bit maybe.
Because it's so interesting because I think that work-life balance is is really impressive, to be honest. I feel like I'm trying to include more of that into my own life. I think the other part of the puzzle that I'm interested to flesh out is one of the things that I really like about your content is how, I guess, like authentic and how you show up on your YouTube and on your socials. Like it's very playful. It's very not goofy, but like, you know,
it
like,
is pretty goofy.
Yeah, you like to sing, you like to dance, and it's
Yeah.
like it's just like your true authentic self. And I love that. And I think that's probably why so many like people resonate with you. Have you always been like that? Were you like that in high school?
Definitely not.
No?
I think I've made a big shift. I would say like probably slowly over the last like 3-4 years from being a like serial people pleaser and just selling my soul basically to make myself into what I thought other people wanted. And I was always like the kid who was kind of like reasonably well liked by everyone because I think I tried to fit the mold of whoever I was with. So I sort of changed myself a lot based on whether I was like around teachers, students my age, like the cool kids, whatever it was. And then I think I think I owe it to the friends I've met who I've been able to be myself around, and then they've loved that person that I've realised that person is also completely fine and be able to sort of become more and more myself, which people say, you know, you find yourself in your 20s, and I'm kind of like, what does that even mean? But I think you can apply it to that sense of like feeling now like I can just show up 100% as myself, and that does attract the people that I want in my life anyway. And if that doesn't, like if it doesn't fit with certain people, they're not meant to be a part of my life. And kind of just accepting that side of things. But yeah, I've definitely become a lot better at being myself.
What advice would you give your 15-year-old self now going through it all?
I think it's hard because I do really believe that I couldn't be who I am now if I hadn't been who I was then. And I think I needed to have had both experiences, but like I would love that person to feel like they could be themselves and still be valued and worthy of other people's time. But then again, if I was like that the whole time, then maybe I would be less appreciative now of the people in my life for helping me become who I am.
I think when you can show up as like you're just like fully yourself, it is the most contagious, infectious, like loving feeling that you can ever have. I think when I was playing footy, I went into the pro system when I was like 17, young kid, didn't know myself, trying to fit in with these guys who I really looked up to. And to be honest, I was like so shy. I feel like probably didn't say anything. Well, I felt like I probably didn't say anything for the first year. I'm sure I would have, but I feel like I couldn't be myself just because I was so scared and probably so nervous. Yeah. And then it wasn't until I came back here to the Gold Coast, to the Titans, when I was about 20. I was knocking around with a lot of guys that I went to school with as well, so they kind of knew who I was. Yeah. And I was like surfing every day. I was not surfing every day because we were training full time, but we were surfing as much as we can. Yeah. And I felt like I could be completely myself. And then even fast forward another 4 years where I end up finishing footy a little bit earlier due to like being medically retired. I had too many concussions, but I'm all right now, touch wood. But then I started showing up and doing things that I think are like really like authentic myself, like being a bit more playful and a bit more like just jovial and whatever. And then people start like commenting on that. I don't know if you found that. And it kind of like almost like reassures you that being yourself is okay and it's actually fun. And then when you do that and you're like, oh, well, there's no other version that I'm going to show up to. If I go to a social gathering, if I go to a breakfast, or this morning when we're going for a run, you see people, you're just your true authentic self. Yeah. I think that feeling is so beautiful. And then likewise, when you have a friend or you meet someone and you just show up as yourself, I think it can rub off on them. Do you subscribe to that at all?
Yeah, definitely. I think on what you just said as well, having someone tell you that like one of their favorite things about you is the thing that you used to try and not show is just like, you're just like, wait, what? And it's kind of like a bit of, you have to go through a process of like then allowing yourself to continually show that to different people. But I think now I've had like enough time that that's just who I am now.
What was your thing?
A lot of things, but probably just being a bit more like, not childish, but like silly and like finding joy in things that aren't necessarily like the mature kind of cool thing. Yeah. But that like, it's so much more fun. Like life's so much more fun when you just are a bit silly and goofy and have a bit of a laugh and do the thing that is maybe embarrassed. I feel like that's something else I've really like lent into is like embarrassment isn't real. I'm not sure if you've heard me say that on my social media. But someone said it to me one day, I'm like, it's so true. Like if you're not embarrassed, it's not embarrassing. So that's something you put yourself into that position. It's
perception.
So now I'm just like, I'll just do whatever I want. And
do you show up at work the way you show up online and on socials?
that's the one catch that I'm still juggling a little bit. Obviously, you can't be joking around too much in that environment. But I think I'm getting better at, there's like environments where it's just me and my colleagues, and I'm definitely more myself now with them. But then obviously in front of patients and in front of like more senior colleagues, there is a level of professionalism that you have to uphold. Like it's a respected job. You can't be sort of, dancing around the wards and doing that kind of thing. But I think I'm getting better at the balance of being myself but still being professional, as opposed to just becoming a bit of a robot and trying to just like be really regimented.
Sure. I heard you say on one of your YouTubes, you said, I've never felt like my true self. Wait, sorry, I'll say that again. Reading. I've never felt the true version of myself was accepted that much. Now I've built this incredible community of people who are here for me and who love that version of myself. I can be confident in who I am and not who other people want me to be. I heard you say that and I was just like, I really love that. I think that's something that probably can all take away, because I imagine how many people, and I've been there as well, where we're kind of showing up the way we want other people to show up and we're doing things what other people want us to do. Like, when we're in high school, our teachers are telling us that we're good at one thing, we're bad at another thing. Our parents might want us to go into a certain career, and then you get into your 20s and you might be doing a trade, or you're going to university and people are drinking, and it's just like we're influenced by so many outside things. But when you can find not only who you are, who you show up as a person, but also like what you really love to do, I think that right there is like the most beautiful thing. And then if you can make a career out of that, game changer, the best.
Yeah. Well, that's what you've done. Look
Trying to. I never thought this was going to be a play. I was because forever I always thought there was like street smarts and book smarts. Like I thought there was only like two kind of types of intelligence. Have you read Frame of Minds by Howard? Name's escaping me. Anyway, he talks through how there's like 8 or 9 different types of intelligence, and like naturally we're probably more in tuned or aligned with like 1, potentially 2, but usually 1, and that might be around like intrapersonal, so being able to like understand other people's emotions and feelings. That usually you see that in like psychs and therapists. Spatial is one, so like a lot of athletes, so you think like netball players or like rugby league players or whatever. But then there's also like musical, and then there's like logistical, and like and then they put like different career paths on each one. And because I talk with a lot of crew around like finding your why and finding like what you want to do. And typically if you find out, or if you think back to like what we're naturally good at or what we're naturally aligned, typically you like that more. And then when you go down that career path, it's like, wow, I find actually what I really want to do. I think that's so awesome.
Yeah, that is cool.
Do you find like you're on that? Do you find like that you're on that journey now? Or do you feel like that you're just like, you're still very much in it? Because I look at you as like a very curious person. Like, yes, you're in your field of being a doctor and you're doing socials and you're running and you're doing all these things, but I still look at you as like a very curious person. You still feel like you're on the journey?
I feel like both of those things, I do feel that I'm at the very start of both of them. Medicine isn't something that you get your degree and you start working in where you'll be, and that path can change so much in the next sort of 10 to 15 years of where I could be anything. There's so many different little roads that you can go down. So I definitely am still figuring that out and where I want that career to take me and what I want it to look like. And even as much as I know about the different pathways, I still think about them. I still think about all the clinical jobs in there, and then there's still, you can go, like we were talking about, that you were maybe thinking research side of things, like that's the same in medicine. You can go down that pathway. Then there's like non-clinical jobs in like government and that sort of thing, and medical advisors. Like there's so much in that career, and I think I definitely want to be in the clinical area, but it's like it's still just such an open book, and I haven't kind of locked myself into anything. So that is definitely still very open, and I'm still figuring all that out. And then social media, it's just brand new to me. Like it's still don't know what that will hold and where that'll take me. Just kind of along for the ride at this stage and hoping for the best.
In the medical world, is there certain like themes that you want to go down, or certain like parts of the medicine world that you'd like to explore more, or that you might want to end up in? You're doing paediatrics at the minute?
So I always said through med school and when I started work that paediatrics was what I wanted to do. I've had a bit of a shift in that since working in it, just the emotional toll it takes, and it's a bit heavier than other areas, even though like the highs are obviously great, but the lows are lower than anywhere else. So I'm not 100% sure on that anymore. I love being face-to-face with patients, so that like rules out quite a large number of specialties.
Yeah.
And don't want to do surgery, so I've ruled that out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But that still leaves quite a little bit of stuff, and I'm just not really in a rush to get there, I think, at this stage. So I want to be face-to-face. I love diagnostic, like problem solving, getting all the pieces, whether that's like what the patient tells you, how they examine, what their investigations and like blood tests show, and kind of using all that information to come to like a conclusion. So that can be in a lot of different areas. So I haven't really decided, but paediatrics and GP are the two main considerations at this stage.
What have you taken through all your studies and face-to-face and learnings in the medical world that you've taken into your own life?
Oh, that's a good question. I think the variety of people that we get to see and the different like contexts and lives that people have lived, and just how two people can walk through the door with the same problem and that does not affect them in the same way. And I think when you're dealing with people in the hospital, you know everything about them because you are kind of in this position of trust and they will tell you all this information. But like just in day-to-day life, you don't have that context of what people are going through. And so I think that's probably like the main thing is just I try to treat everyone with kindness and grace and not kind of act on what you see because that's like one part of someone's day in life. Whereas you get to see the rest in the hospital and you're like, that person, like, you know, would have just been at the supermarket like every other person, but they're going through all of this crazy stuff. And I know that, but when I'm out in the street, I don't know that. And so I think that's just like giving people a bit of grace.
Kind of ties into like you don't really know what someone's really going through. Like everyone has their own shit.
Exactly.
That's why I think that the LSKD video that went viral earlier this year, where they had the two friends running, like I think that kind of hits the nail on the head, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's a really beautiful piece, especially just to have the awareness to be able to, you know, when you meet someone or if someone cuts you off in traffic or
this is the exact kind of things though that I'm like I see those situations play out and I just never react in that way. And I think yes, like you can be in a rush, yes, things can be really annoying, but I think like there are real humans on the other end of that. And I mean maybe one day I'll get angry enough that I'll do something like honk at someone, but like yeah, I think if you just have a little bit of just think about other people's position and life and realise that it's really not as big a deal as you think it is, and to just give that person a little bit of kindness might make the biggest difference in their day. Like you don't know what conversation they've just had, what news has just been broken, like any of those sorts of things.
I love that. One of my friends on a very earlier podcast, he said, if I think something nice about someone, I'll tell them because you don't know what they're going through. Like imagine like one little thing that you say like, you know what? I really love your jewelry at the moment, or like I really love your kit, or like the way you compliment other people. Like if you give them that comment, like you could change their whole day. And feel like when you think it, you say it. I heard that and I was like, I love that. I want to start doing that more.
Yeah. And I don't know if you've had the same experience, but when you do that, whenever you could randomly compliment someone, you never just get thank you. It's like, I really needed to hear that. That's made my day. Like that's completely turned my day on its end. And you're kind of like, it's such an easy thing for me to do.
Yeah.
And you always get such a crazy reaction from people because like no one really is happy all the time. Like there's a chance that someone's going through something of some description. So yeah, it's pretty easy from our end.
Do you find because you've had a lot more practice in like the professional, like medical space, then people are more likely to like come to you with like problems or like have conversations around similar things?
I try really hard to keep it very separate.
Yeah.
Like there's not laws but recommendations around like specifically like giving any medical advice, but I think just in general, yes, like you're seen as someone who is like trustworthy and is going to like keep confidential information confidential. Like, so I think people definitely turn to you a little bit, but when it's more than just advice, I'm like,
I wasn't thinking so much probably of the medical space. I was probably more thinking around like a person to lean on. Like you said, you've got like you go run with like the girlies and doing all that. Like the ability to have like a really great conversation with someone and almost like being there for them and showing up for them. That's kind of like the way I was thinking on that.
I feel like probably me working in that space doesn't change that. I think it's more just like who I am as a person and a friend, and I do always try and keep those like channels open as much as I can. And I find especially with my friends that just like the double ask of like how are you is just always such a change, like game changer.
What
like,
do you mean?
You know, small talk with anyone, it's like how are you? Good. How are you? Good. And you kind of like, okay, but how are you? And then they're like, okay, now that's actually a space where I feel like I can give you a real answer and like talk about more, because I think I would assume that if someone's asking how are you, they really don't actually want an answer. So I think having someone follow that question up and be like, how actually are you? Then that really gives people the chance to have that conversation.
Are you pretty good at having those types of conversations when people ask you how you're doing?
I'm getting better.
Yeah.
Working on it.
Yeah.
I've always been more of the bottle up type of person and then explode when everything's getting a bit much. But again, like credit to the people in my life who allow me to do that, and I'm definitely getting better at leaning on other people and asking for help and realising that that's not a weakness.
Who do you lean on when things get really tough?
Everyone.
Yeah.
My family are just the best. Couldn't speak highly of them. Like, couldn't speak high enough about them, really. They are, my mum's always been like my person, but then now obviously I have Zach as well, and he is of a very different brain to me, so he doesn't understand the overthinking as much, but he will always listen and do his best, but he's just like, but just don't worry about it. Why didn't I think of that?
Oh wow, I feel like that's the male in us coming out, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, well, why don't you just not do it?
I'm like, well, next time I'll try that.
That's so funny. My partner's just been through her first trimester of being pregnant, and so that obviously comes with all the emotions, which I am still learning and navigating. And even I was telling my other mate who was his partner's also pregnant, very similar times, and we were so funny. We have the exact same thing, because I can see in my partner like, oh, when you go outside and when you see your friends and you eat really well, and probably the biggest one, when you sleep really well, you feel so much better. It's like A plus B equals C. So why don't you just do A and B? And then I was having this, because he was the exact same thing. And we're trying our best to try and solve the problems and try and be so logical in our thinking, where it's just like, just go and see your friends. Just like just sleep really well. You're not sleeping well and you feel like shit. Just don't do that. But then from their point of view, it's just like, I don't need you to fucking try and solve everything for me. Just be there for me and try and like preempt a few little things. So we're learning. And so it is interesting that Zach, your partner, is learning as well.
Yeah. I think I've always found with my two parents that like I go to one of them or the other depending on what I want. And if I want a solution, I'll go to my mum. If I want like just to talk about something and have like hold space and just listen, I'll go to my dad. Really? And they're two very different, like sometimes you need one or the other. And like they can both fit both molds, but that's like kind of where I automatically go. It's
really cool. Hey, like it is really interesting. Like the fact of just like a lot of the times we don't need to say anything. We just like need to be there for people. Like especially when people are going through a really hard time. One of my friends, she was on the podcast, Tilly Connius, one of like the best. Like she's very incredible person. And she talked about her partner who was going through a really tough time, and we clipped up, and it was probably one of our most viewed clips. But what she was mentioning and the message behind it was, he was like, Till, I don't need you to try and solve this for me. I just need you to listen. And I heard, and when she said that, it was like, oh, of course, like that makes so much sense. Like even just being there, not having the right words, like, but just like being there, I think is really important.
Yeah. I always say like one of my new friends that I've met up here always is like, I can hold space for whatever it is. I might not be able to solve it. I might not know what to say, but I can hold space and just be there and listen to it. And I think you underestimate the power of that as well. When you're the person who needs kind of help, you might think like, no one else can solve the problem, so therefore why would I burden anyone with it?
Sure.
But then you share it and you're like, wait, that actually did help more than you would imagine.
Yeah. It's so interesting, like that ability to be able to share and then just be like, I actually just needed like a cry and a vent, and wow, I feel so much better now.
Yeah, exactly. A good cry solves a lot of things, I find.
I was earlier this year when we found out Em was pregnant, it was just like this whole big ordeal of like trying to figure everything out with like the house, the renovations, like training for this thing, bringing on new people to the podcast was like a very stressful time. I was bouncing and I felt like I was like just not showing up for everyone in my life the way I wanted to. I felt like I wasn't there for Em. I felt like I was missing certain things with my family, and I just felt like I wasn't doing a good job. And it got to this point where I just like, I think my sister called me out on it because I wasn't there for her when she was going through a tough time. And I just felt like I just had let everyone down. And it was like this boiling point of like a 3-month period. And I just like fucking lost it. Like I was just like crying. I don't cry in front of my dad very often, but he like gave me a big hug. And then I came home and I cried to Em, and I just told her like what was going on. And then like, it's so bizarre, like, but almost like that evening, once I had like let it all out, I'd fleshed it out. I'd even like wrote down like all the things that I needed to get done or like needed to do in order to make me feel better. Like it was almost like the like inspire me list or whatever I called it. I felt this incredible weight off. I feel like all I really needed to do was have a big cry and a big vent, and it was okay. And I think that like airing that, like giving that more airtime is, I think, is important.
Yeah, it's really interesting you say that when everything got busy, the one thing that was like the stressor in that situation was feeling like you're letting down the people around you. So like so many people, one of the like number one questions that I always get asked is like how I juggle all of the things as like work, socials, running. But I think the thing that is the hardest and that makes you feel like the most stress is not showing up for the people in the way that you want to. Because when like other sort of objective things are requiring your attention, there's so little of you left to give to the people around you.
Yeah.
And I think that's when we were talking earlier about, I guess, one of the like driving factors for that doing less and doing things more intentionally. I think as well, like such a big part of that is having more percentage of my energy and time and who I want to be able to give to the people who give me so much and help me through all of that, but then being able to do it back when you kind of slow down and do less and have more energy.
Has there been times where you feel like you haven't showed up for people the way you wanted to?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think in the process of taking too much on my plate because I think that I'm trying to do the right thing by other people, then I let down other people in the process. And I think just prioritizing, I've definitely learnt this year, like prioritizing the most important people to me. And I would rather take a step back and sort of say no to things for people that are outside that circle so that it's not an objective thing necessarily like it would be. I'm trying to explain this in the right way.
Can you give me an example?
But like if like saying no to like a social media job, so then I have 2 hours to sit on the couch and have a coffee with Zach. Like just those little things where it's not like that's not something that's on a to-do list and that I can objectively tick off, but that's the person that I want to give my energy to. Because we did this vision and goal session with LSKD recently. And it was like a 10-year kind of vision, and it was like a talk, like you close your eyes and you get talked through and you imagine yourself in a certain situation, who's there, like all this sort of thing, like it's very guided. And I came to like, I actually cried like afterwards, like it was such an emotional thing for me for some reason, but I think I realised that the things that I worry about and that stress me out now, none of those things I saw in my 10-year, like it's more the relationship and the people who matter. And so I think giving more time and energy to those people is something that is very easily lost when you're very busy, detail orientated, like checking things off a list, wanting to be as busy as possible. But that's also you're giving all your energy to things that you don't prioritize in your future.
Why do you think it was so emotional?
I think because I realised that I've been giving my energy to the wrong things and prioritising the wrong things, which I thought like I always try to do everything, but I think that was like a big wake up call as well as there's a lot more to this doing less than just doing less.
Yeah.
So I think that's another reason that I'm doing so well at sticking at it, because I have a why now behind why I want to.
But it's so easy to get caught up, hey?
Yep.
Like it's so easy to get caught up in life when you're running and you're getting ready for a London Marathon blog, but then you're also like in the first couple years of your placements, and then you just finished graduating, but then you also want to be there for your partner and your friends, and you got the social media thing that's going really well, and all these things, and trying to be everything to everyone. I think like that is a very great thing to learn at such a young age, Grace. I feel like you're way ahead of a lot of us. Figuring it out as we're 29, 30. So I think that's awesome, mate.
Yeah, no, I'm very grateful for that, I think.
Do you think you have to learn that the hard way? Do you think you have to go through the weeds and the hard times to be able to have that knowledge?
Yeah, definitely. I also think that had I had worse people around me, I would have learnt it sooner. But the people that I have are so willing to continue to support me through everything, that no one had really brought that up as like you said that it took your sister calling you out for you to be like, shit, like this something's got to give here. Whereas I think like I had to come to that on my own, because I was just getting endless support from my family, from Zach, from my friends. No one was sort of like, you're not showing up.
Yeah.
And I think it almost was worse in that sense, because I realised that I'd been doing it and no one even felt like they could say it to me. But then also what a blessing that those people are willing to just continue to back me, knowing that I will kind of figure it out.
Because I think when we have these conversations, a lot of the times the conversations that I'm angling at is who's going to be listening on the other side of that. And I think like the obvious one is the young girl that wants to be productive and wants to run and wants to do that. But I feel like probably a more suitable audience or a more suitable angle of it is those guys and girls who are probably very type A, who are going for it and who have a lot on their plate and can get lost in the trap of productivity is the be all and end all. And if I'm not moving forward, then I'm going backwards, and I need to fill my days, and then my calendar needs to be stacked up, and I've got free time. Maybe I'll just roll in this random course. Like, I feel like this conversation is almost speaking to that person and that young girl and that young boy. And that's why I think it is really beautiful to be able to step back. And because to be honest, like the people in our lives, our loved ones, like that's the goal.
Yeah, it's everything.
That's everything. That's the whole fucking point. You know what I mean? I think it's perfect.
100%. And it's just so overglorified too, like that taking on everything and doing everything.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty of being that person last year. Yeah. And I think as well, I want to help people not do that. I'm like, I did it and it was fun, but there's more to life than just pushing yourself to the max all the time.
Yeah, it's kind of like this whole rise of like the whimsical era, as we were talking about this morning. We had one of my lecturers, an incredible like positive psychology researcher, Dr. Megan Lee, on Monday. I think the podcast went live on Tuesday. So if there are people who are listening to this, they can scroll back. We called it The Psychology of the Rise of the Whimsical Era. And it was like so awesome because she like brought in the science behind why probably like a lot of people, especially in like the like young girly space, are almost getting away like anti-phone, leaning into like having a bit more like wrinkled clothing and love like knitting and gardening and going to the farmer's market and spending time out in nature and, having like different types of cutlery in their house and just like random like fun things. And then I was just like what is going on here? Like, why are we seeing almost like a revolt against this like AI polished versions? Like everything is so typed perfectly. Like our social media is, everyone's perfect on it as a highlight reel. Like, what are we seeing here? And it's like, and what she mentioned was, there was like obviously a heap of things, but one of the biggest things is that because we spend so much time on our phone and on our social media, a lot of this stuff can be glorified and we almost like lose ourselves, like we lose our identity. And when we get to a point where we're like, we actually don't really know who we are. So this whole like rise of the whimsical era is getting back to like what you really love. Yeah. And the neuroscience behind it around giving your brain and your head space where it's not cluttered, like the calendar's not full and we're not
Yeah.
going 100 miles an hour, which I can get caught up in the exact same
Yeah.
thing. That's why I was so interested in it. But when you give yourself a time to just fully relax, and not even relax, but just giving yourself time to do something that you love, whether that is gardening or knitting or going for a walk without our phone on, first of all, when you come back, you work so much more productively, but also the ability to be more creative, to really sit with yourself, to know your same thoughts. When I heard that, I was just like, air that, more of that. I feel like that's the vibe that I think we're probably both striving for. You know?
100%. 100%. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're back there.
We're learning, and you learnt it a lot younger. I do really want to talk about London, the running coming up.
Yep.
How are you feeling? I think by the time your episode goes live, you're probably going to be a couple weeks away, maybe like 2 or 3, maybe 1 or 2 weeks before London. How are you feeling now? How's the block been?
The block has been great in comparison to my previous marathon block, but I don't have a lot to go off.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not getting sick of running at all, which I thought by this point I probably would be. Like I'm running 5 times a week, and I think probably as well because I'm doing it with other people. Yeah. It's fun. But yeah, I'm loving it. It's hard. I've set myself a big goal, and so my like speed sessions are hard work. And
You're flying.
Yeah. I do dread them a little bit, but I just never get sick of that feeling of like proving to myself that I can do things that that morning had said I couldn't do. And just trusting the process and locking in and hoping for the best at this stage.
You got a time you're going for?
Yep.
Have you put it out?
I have. I previously didn't for silly reasons. And I think I've realized now that part of this whole process and sharing and like trying to be someone who shares everything as well is like sharing goals and not meeting them. And I think I used to always add a bit of time onto my goal to what I told people so that I knew that I'd get it. But as part of running is like, you're not gonna PB every race. You're not gonna hit every goal. So with that being said, I'm aiming for a sub 3.
Let's go! How fun!
But we'll see. Fingers crossed.
I think that's so wild. To be honest, I thought you'd been doing this forever. I think you've obviously been running forever. You've been running since you were a child. But when you're like, oh yeah, this is my second marathon, and you're going for a sub 3, you did 3:15 in Sydney last year, and you probably could have ran a lot better. And I was just like, that is such an impressive time for someone that's gone into like this type of running so early, right?
Yeah, I think I started properly running like with a program that started last year.
That's so wild.
But before that I had been training. It was just very on and off. The first race I did, I was anti-racing since school. I was like, I'm not touching that again because the feeling I have on race morning is horrible. And
Why?
I still,
What's the feeling?
So like anxious, nauseous.
Yeah.
But I did endurance events with my dad. So he cycles, like he road cycles, mountain bikes and kayaks. And there's these events.
Your dad's a really cool dude, by the way.
Maybe you should bring him on the podcast.
Yeah, I'd fucking love to, yeah.
So he does multi-sport events, which is like those 3 plus running. And he used to do them all solo, but as his knee, he's just got bad knees now. So he got me to do the runs. And that was like my one run back into kind of racing again. We did one together and I was like, wait, this is so fun.
Yeah.
So then moving up here, all of my friends were like, had been signed up for these races. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll get into it. And then I've just been hooked.
What was the thing that you think helped you with those pre-race anxiety and nerves?
Nothing. It's horrible. I can't get past it.
Really? So even Sydney last year, like you still have it?
I sat on the bathroom floor and was like, I have food poisoning. I'm not racing. It was
really
awful. I was like on the verge of vomiting all morning. I don't know. My anxiety in general, I'm so much better at coping with, but I can't on race morning. It all goes out the window.
Really? I wonder where that comes from.
And I don't know, because I've never been the kid that had pressure on me to do well at a race or to do well at anything. Like I was never like, oh, if I don't do well, end of the world kind of thing. Like it was always just for fun. Mum and dad would be like, do your best. And I would just put pressure on myself, I guess. Yeah. I don't know, but for no reason. So yeah, to crack that
Is the feeling pre-race nerves because you're going to do something hard, or is it because you want to complete the time that you've put out? What's the feeling?
I think I just go through all the things that could go wrong. And I think as well added now is I know how many people have eyes on me when I do these things.
Yeah.
Knowing how many people are following along to sort of see the outcome. And I don't care what that outcome. I think logically I'm like, I don't care if I don't do a good time. I don't care if I don't finish the race. But inside, I just feel like it all matters a lot more.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There's a book behind you by Ben Crow. It's called Where the Light Gets In. It was Ash Barty's.
I've listened to some of his.
It's on the top. It's on the top of that little blue book behind you. I give you to take away just because if you want it, if you got a little bit more time for reading.
Yep.
But he was Ash.
Well, I'm on leave, so
there you go.
Yep.
He was Ash Barty's mindset coach,
as
well as Molly Picklam's mindset coach as well, and really incredible, like about reframing nerves. Like Molly's episode. That the one that I was saying was going live this weekend. It's probably already live for those who are listening. Like she talked about, like she's a pro surfer. She won the WSL last year. She went from a time of being like dropped back to almost like what you would be considered like reserve grade, the Challenger Series, and how she fought her way back. And she was having a conversation with her team, and her team's like, okay, well, like when's the year that you're going to go for the title? And she's like, what do you mean? I'm fucking going for the title every year. And they're like, no, like, when are we actually going to go for the title? And this was, 2026 now? Was it like 2025 into 2024? And so they put this whole plan in place, and she did so much inner work. He talks about it in the book about overcoming this and actually like admitting that you actually want something.
Yeah.
Like actually admitting to yourself that like you actually want to do this and it's okay to be able to do this. And then all like the little mind things of like being able to be okay with that and sit with that anxiety and the feeling of, I'm sure you probably know better than anyone, but like the feeling of nerves is also the exact same like chemicals in your brain as excitement.
Yeah.
So being able to switch the nerves to excitement was an incredible hack, but it's easier said than done.
Yeah, 100%. No, I think it's I can kind of work around most of it, but trying to eat morning of is like really hard.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But maybe London will be different.
Yeah, and you said that you were you had like a notorious like little niggles like in training blocks in the leader. How are you navigating, I guess, like performance and training through those little niggles and like not letting them get to you? How do you navigate that?
I think I definitely catastrophize injury now because of like previous injuries. And like if I'm under the impression, which is probably not true, that if you're running and you think of any part of your body, you can convince yourself it's sore.
I agree.
And so when I've had injuries in the past, I'm so hyper aware of those areas. And so like for Sydney, it was like ITB in my hip. And so if I'm on a long run and I am not otherwise thinking about something else, I'll be like, wait, does my knee hurt? Yeah, my knee hurts.
Yeah.
But then it's not actually sore. But I think this block, I have just been playing the long game a lot more. And I think with Sydney, I was so stressed about the marathon distance and about doing my first marathon that I was worried that missing any one run or like not getting my mileage for the week would affect the end result. Whereas now I think everything is kind of a massive build to one race. So like each week doesn't even matter. You know, it's kind of like it's a whole 16, I've done a 16-week block. So that whole 16 weeks is all going to come together to benefit that race. And so if I do I've got a physio from like day one. I was like going to my physio preemptively. I was like, currently nothing's sore, but like, let's keep it that way.
Yeah.
And just been so strict with like doing my physio exercises, doing proper warm-ups. And I just skip runs. Like if I'm sore, I'm just like, next run not happening because I want to show up to the finish. Like I want to show up to the start line of the race. I don't want to show up to my run tomorrow just for the sake of it.
Do you think getting all those little wins on the board is giving you the confidence? Because even this morning you say, yeah, I did like my 30K run, like with no injuries. I'm feeling really good, touch wood. Like, do you think hitting those little 1%ers is giving you the confidence to be able to go into this block with no like injuries or phantom injuries? Or anything?
Yeah, definitely. And I think also just knowing that I'm doing everything better than I did it last time. Yeah. So I can kind of tell myself that I am doing, I've not really ever done the wrong thing, but like I'm really doing all the right stuff this time. Yeah. Like I've never, increased mileage too quickly or not like just done no strength training or anything super radical, but kind of just been like, oh, I'm young, it'll be fine. Whereas now I'm like, no, like I want to do everything to set myself up as best as possible.
Sure.
So I can show up on the day.
So interesting. on the similar themes that like of injuries, I had this like same thing, like ITB band issue with Sydney last year.
Worse.
So annoying. And then even after I just dumb, like went into an ultra straight into Sydney and just like was just dumb. I hadn't trained properly for it. I had missed a lot of things and I just like, oh, I'll just show up to this race. And then had the ITB thing and then worked through it as I was getting ready for an Ironman. And I was working with Alex Bell from the running room. It's kind of like running physios, all my gym and rehab is specifically around running, which is like really cool. I've never done this before. I jumped on at the end of last year. And so we were working through it. He gave me these exercises. I settled it down before the Ironman. And then we were having a chat one day, talking through it. And I was talking about my ITB band, my knee, I was fine. He's like, great, that issue's done. Like the injury's done. Let's move on. And it was almost like he gave me the confidence within myself. It's like, you've done the work. Like you've done all the exercises. You've let it settle. We've it's not so angry anymore. You've actually done the mileage. You've done the gym. You've done what you've needed to do. This injury is done.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands and move on.
Yeah.
And it was like, and I think it was more so the fact that in my head, I'd always been like, same thing, like potentially looking for it. Like is this a phantom injury? Like, am I coming back? This is probably the time where, you know, my mileage has increased so much. Like when I have increased mileage, this is when my knee starts to get sore. But he crushed that for me. And and I think it was in my head. And after that, I was like, touch wood, haven't had it since.
Yeah. So my ITB has been years and years in and out.
Yeah.
So I think I just wait for it to come back, which I think I need to have a similar shift in that and just be like, it's gone. But then I'm like, but it's come back 5 times.
Yeah.
So maybe it is going back.
There will be light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
I can almost guarantee it. And then you'll be like, I don't know why the fuck I was worrying so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%.
We've talked about Zach a few times, your fiance. Congratulations, you're engaged too.
Hey.
Very exciting, beautiful ring. I do have a question from our friend Zach.
Hey Grace, hopefully you can recognise this voice. One of the things that I love about you most is most definitely your work ethic. And I don't think people probably see the full extent of it in your videos. But between juggling life as a doctor, your training, making videos, editing, along with all the rest, you're constantly foot to the floor. So my question is, where do you think your drive comes from and how much of it is something that you've worked on versus something that's always been a part of who you are?
Wow,
I like that question.
I think that when it comes to work ethic and drive, my mum makes me look like I live a breeze of a life. She has always been, both of them have, but especially mum, has just been the most hardworking person. So she's a doctor as well and had 3 kids. And I don't remember her not being there, but then I also know that she was working ridiculous hours, still taking us to all of our after-school stuff because we lived 2 hours from the cities, but she wanted us to do sports that weren't available. She would be driving us 2 hours after school to do swimming and netball and dancing and all the things we wanted to do. And still to this day, she just works like crazy. And I think that she's definitely instilled that in me. But then in saying that, I have 2 siblings and we're obviously raised by the same parents and we're all very different. My brother definitely is better at enjoying the little things in life and slowing down and traveling and not working so hard all the time. So I think a part of it as well is obviously who I am as a person. But yeah, I think I've grown up with a great example of someone who works really hard all the time.
Do you think that work ethic and drive can be learned, or do you think that's something that's always just innately in us?
I think if you want something bad enough, anyone can work hard for it. I think the thing that's maybe more innate is hard work in areas that you aren't necessarily passionate about.
What do you mean?
Well, I think if someone wants to do something, then it's a lot easier for them to work hard in it. Whereas I think any task that I set myself where I'm set, I will give 100% to it regardless of whether I'm passionate about it or not, which I guess is also probably a flaw because then I burn out a lot quicker than other people who give their energy to things that they love. But I think that is maybe more of who I am as a person as opposed to something that can just be picked up. But I'm not sure. What do you think?
I wasn't expecting you to ask me that. What do I think? I think it can definitely be learned. I think if you're truly passionate about what you're doing, then you're probably more likely to deal with the challenges and the struggles that come with that thing because you firstly just find it easier to do, but also you can probably see more value in it. Dr. Megan Lee said one of her, I don't know if it was her research or previous research, they found that people who really love what they do or their work doesn't really seem like work to them, they're actually more likely to experience burnout because they have gone so far down the track, which I thought was really interesting. I always thought that when you love something, regardless, you would just keep showing up, which is the exact point. You will just keep showing up. So yeah, I don't know. I think like if you've had positive role models like that, then you can definitely see it. But then, you know, you see like the example of like your brother and yourself, where it's like you can two separate options. Yeah, I think it's probably just your internal drive where that comes from and what you do. And if you, I think we've spoken about it today, like when you find who you truly are and like what you really want to do, it's like it is literally the best feeling in the world. Yeah. What do you think is your big goals going forward? And
in life?
In life, like you obviously you've got your doctor, like you've got your medicine, you've got your socials, you've got running. Like out of everything in the world, what do you think is like your big goal or like your big dream?
We touched on this morning, and I think like I would give all of that up to be a mum, 100%.
Really?
And have a family, and it's something I hope I'm lucky enough to experience, but that would be, I think it has been ever since I was so young. And I think like people talk about like purpose and, you know, knowing your purpose in life. And I think everything I do, I love and I'm passionate about, but I just think that that's going to be on a whole another level when I'm a mum.
Why do you think that's it?
I don't know. It's not something logical that I can explain. It's just something that I've felt my whole life that I just knew. Like it's never been, will I want kids? It's just always been something that I've looked forward to, and that I think I don't know, just really want.
It's so exciting, hey?
Yeah.
I imagine that's going to be like such an exciting time of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
And even like, because I can see like even talking to you this morning, going on our run, it's like I can see how like excited you are about like training and working hard and what you're doing. Like that's obviously great. But then like the ability to bring life into this world, what the heck? That's so gnarly. There's just got to be something like so like innate in us that just wants to be able to do this. I don't know. It must be such a primal thing.
And I think something I think about all the time that I just think so cool is like having a baby, that baby being half of yourself and half of the person that you love most in the world is just so crazy.
Yeah.
And Zach has red hair, so I hope our babies have red hair.
You want red hair? That's so cute. Do you think about what type of mum you want to be?
I think about this a lot. I think about the type of mum. We actually went out for ice cream the other day with Zach and two of my good friends, and they were giving us parenting scenarios.
Can you give us one?
They're all probably a bit far-fetched.
I mean, we don't have a rating on this show, but we'll be respectful.
They're all a bit controversial.
Sure.
But I think I want to draw a lot of parenting style from my parents.
Yeah.
And just as much as I am a very anxious person, I want to be the kind of parent that gives my kids the freedom to sort things out on their own and learn their own lessons. Our parents were very much of the opinion that like if they were to tell us something was wrong, we're not going to listen if we learn it ourselves. Like they obviously guided us a lot, but we had the opportunity to kind of make our own mistakes and learn that way, and just be our own person.
Yeah.
And we never had, I guess, expectations of us in the setting of like a level of performance or anything like that in any area of our life. It was always, if we're happy and we're trying our best, that's well and truly enough. So obviously I think everyone wants to be like that, but I definitely want to try and give that same level of freedom.
Well, you hear about like all these like really incredible like successful people, and I don't mean successful just like money wise, but just like relationship, career, like the whole thing. And you can see, I guess, like the amount of not flexibility, but trust and the environment that they create for the kids, how it allows them to actually like figure things out for themselves. Think about that all the time. Like, especially now that we have a baby on the way, I was just like, well, how can we set this up for our kids?
Yeah.
So I just want to get her outside and just like surfing and getting out in nature and just, and then you like get to the point where you see them like potentially doing like a little problem or trying to figure things out. And our first thing is like, we want to help them, right? We want to, but then the ability to be able to step back and be like, no, we'll let them figure it out themselves.
Yeah. And they always do.
Yeah.
Which is, and I think not being too strict, that's my other thing.
Not being too strict.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had, did you have really strict parents?
Yeah.
Oh, but maybe it doesn't apply then. But I found that at school, the kids who had the strictest parents were the ones that were also lying to their parents.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. 100%.
Whereas we had like, our parents expected us to not be stupid, but like it was always, if we needed help in any situation, they would rather us be honest and we wouldn't get in trouble than lie and get in trouble, if that makes sense.
I like that. I think that's the way I want to angle. We weren't like super strict, but like enough for it to be like, okay, if you're going to go to the party, like we're going to be the ones who pick you up this time. Or if you're going to stay at somebody else's house, like we're going to call the parents. And when you're in like year 10, 11 or 12, you're like, Mum, can you please stop calling the parents? Like it's like you're embarrassing me. But then I look at it now, it's like that's something that I would like maybe potentially do. But then I completely get it. You're probably going to be the one that like sneaks out or do these things and be a little bit rogue, which we've probably done it. But Mum and Dad were always just like, once you're 18, you can make your own decisions. And then I feel like as soon as I was 18, I was in like a professional environment. I was getting paid really good money. I felt like I went and did my skydiving course. I went and bought a motorbike. I bought a house. I had house parties. All the boys were coming over our house. Seems really wild and rogue for someone who should be in a professional NRL environment. But I went down that like cliff jumping and like doing all these like really rogue like adrenaline phase. And I feel like I went down that phase because I had really and I wasn't allowed to do that stuff when I was younger, which is interesting.
Yeah. It's very interesting how, everyone's sort of shaped by the things that, I guess, their upbringing. But then in the same breath, like, I don't know if you had siblings, but then everyone kind of with the same upbringing also just ends up super different too. And like,
for sure.
Yeah.
But then I also think like the traits that I got from my mum and dad, the things that I really value in them, like being kind. Like my dad would do like anything for anyone. Like my mum was a teacher and all my friends were at the same school and they're like, your mum is the nicest person I've ever met. She always had like this big like fun energy. And so like those traits and values are something that I really like value and cherish as well. Not just in like how I want to show up, but also in like my friends as well. Yeah. And so I was just like, oh yeah, like while they were strict, they also had like these like awesome like morals and values, which is again what I want to instill in our kids as well. Yeah. Which is interesting.
Yeah.
Grace, this has been so fun. This has been awesome. Before we finish things up, what do you think is the biggest thing that we didn't touch on today that you'd like to touch on?
Ooh.
We talked about a few things.
Yeah, we've talked about a lot of things.
Confidence, authenticity, being goofy and fun. Anything you think we missed?
I don't think so.
Or anything that you think, like you as a young girl or any young career that are coming through that you think, oh, I really struggle with that. That would actually be something that would be really nice to know. Like I wish I knew something like that. It doesn't have to be.
I feel like something that, not necessarily maybe something that I wish I knew, but something that I wish like a lot more of us in this space carried with us is like just the idea that we can support and like bring other people up without it having any effect on our own success and performance. I think especially in like the online space, kind of like breeds this very competitive space where if someone else has something that you wanted, then you can't be happy for them in a sense. And I think why I've been drawn to my friends and why we all get along so well and I love them so much is that, and I think that it should just apply to everyone, is that someone else's success never really takes away from your own. And especially like the online space is ginormous. Like there is enough space and enough opportunity there for everyone. And I think if you're the person who's lifting up all the other people and supporting everyone in whatever way you can, like that will come back around. And even if it doesn't, then at least you can be happy knowing that you've been a good supportive person to other people. And I think that's going to count for a lot more than having the opportunity in the first place. But yeah, I think just like, I mean, obviously we say girls supporting girls, but also just like supporting everyone and everyone supporting everyone. And I just think how cool it is how cool would the space be if everyone was just happy for everyone and there was no jealousy and no competitiveness and no bringing everyone down, if it was just all positive.
But I feel like that energy is also infectious as well. And you've also created such a good community as well, where not only in your friendship circles, like your close ones, but also the people who are following you online, like, Grace, that stuff's infectious. I feel like it is. And that's why I was so excited to have the podcast with you, to be honest, because I really do love the way you show up on socials.
Thank you.
It's fun, it's true, it's playful. It's like you're not trying to do anything that is meant to be for someone else. Like it's all for you. And I would want to give that airtime. And I feel like those are the messages that like we want to push and amplify, you know, and like we just need a couple more people like you out in the world. That's all we need.
I think you're speaking a little too highly of me, but there's plenty of us out there.
No, you're very humble. But no, thank you for today.
Thank you for having me.
No,
that was amazing.
Such a fun morning. Beautiful way to start the morning. Gold Coast looks great on you, by the way. Little morning run, swim, almost drowned in
yeah,
in the
don't
water.
talk about it. Hopefully that doesn't get any airtime.
No, we didn't get any footage of that. I wish we did. But no, thank you. We'll wrap things up.
Yeah.
Good luck for London. I'll see you over there for the marathon.
Absolutely.
Let's go.
Unreal. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Grace.
Honoured to be here.